Hi everyone. This is the 1 year update to my sex reassignment surgery. 1 year ago today, on March 4th, 2013, I had my SRS with Christine McGinn of New Hope, Pennsylvania. I cannot believe it has been 1 whole year already. If you'd like to know about this and the first 6 months of recovery, please watch my video on it. A lot has happened from 6 months to the 1 year mark. I had a revision surgery, my dilation has gotten easier, and sexually things have changed. If there are any more updates, I would be sure to keep you all up to date. Appearance-wise, the scars are still there and still turning white, though there is still some redness in the scars. The scar therapy I was using for 6 months did absolutely nothing. There was no change between what I was using it, where I was using it, and where I wasn't. A complete waste. Most scars have loosened up quite a bit, but there is still some more to go. What I mean is scars are very tight. This shapes the surgical area into having a different appearance. So once the scars loosen up and become more elastic, it begins to take an appropriate shape. Swelling is no more, though on one side there is a ridge that is larger than the rest of the area. I think this is due to the scar still being tight there, making it look kind of weird and out of place, but I'm not complaining. What I have now is much better than what I had before. Also, some spots are very slow to heal. Some areas are still hypersensitive, but this does seem to be slowly improving, as well as the area that should be smooth is kind of bumpy due to how my body healed the granulation tissue. It will eventually become smooth and less sensitive, perhaps after many months, but for right now, it is still kind of bumpy, red, and a little too sensitive. I spoke about there being hair inside the vagina that I would use tweezers to pluck out. There is still some hair, not nearly the amount though. Very few I can feel, though it is much more difficult now to remove with tweezers due to the revision surgery I had. But it's not a big problem at all anymore. Also, around the 10-month mark, there was an issue I had regarding itching and redness. I thought it was some kind of infection, like a yeast infection. The itching was terrible. It continued to spread. It started inside the vagina and slowly began to radiate outward. The skin was very dry, red, spotted, and rough. The surgeon said it was not an infection, it was nothing to worry about, but I was like, come on, what's going on? They thought it could have been a reaction to the mineral oil I was using as a lubricant. That is what they suggested as a lubricant, by the way, but I didn't understand how all of a sudden this could happen. Sometime later, I actually figured out what was causing the issue, and this is a big warning. It wasn't the mineral oil, but the other lubricant I was using for the larger size dilators, the lubricating jelly. I looked at the ingredients and discovered the jelly I was using contained glycerin and sodium hydroxide. Stay away from those, the sodium hydroxide especially. That is what was causing the dryness and roughness. It was drying out the skin, making it rough and itchy. The glycerin can also cause some irritation as well, so be sure to look at the ingredients before buying, because let me tell you, I switched to a sensitive skin lubricant that doesn't contain any of these chemicals, and within a few days the problem was gone. The itching gone, redness subsided, roughness took a few weeks for it to go away. It was absolutely terrible. The biggest thing was a revision surgery on October 7th, 2013, which was at the 7-month mark. The surgery was locally done in the office, no need for hospitals or being put under. Since it was a revision to fix some things, it didn't cost anything. Now, there was a comment on my SRS video about if the surgeon messed up my surgery and whatnot. I have nothing against the surgeon and her staff. They're absolutely wonderful and excellent. I have there were no complications with my surgery. The reason I needed a revision is because of how I healed. The area changed as it healed, and things shifted and moved into places they weren't supposed to. The appearance changed, just a lot of things. The main reason for the surgery was to reposition the urethra. It shifted up too high. Another thing that was done was the clitoral hood was closed a little bit. It was too exposed before, and it was way too sensitive because of how much it was exposed. So, lastly, some excess scar tissue near and inside the vagina opening was removed. So I was in the office and they numbed the area. I had a needle poking me in several spots down there, and it was not pleasant, especially the one by the clitoris. That was killer. After that, she began operating, and it is just so weird when you cannot feel anything. The entire procedure took about a little less than an hour. Also, they said not to dilate for 10 days to let the area heal. I didn't feel any pain until about 2 hours later. I got home and tried to go to bed, but the pain became excruciating. I had to resort to the Vicodin again for pain relief. There was a lot of blood, swelling, and bruising as well. I had to use ice packs and wasn't able to move around too much. It almost felt like going back to day one from SRS, except it wasn't as major of a surgery and I could heal much quicker. But also, in a sense, it was worse since I had more sensation and I could feel more pain. I couldn't get to sleep that night. The pain and the Vicodin kept me awake all night. Not to mention that when I would begin to doze off, the muscle would contract, and it was very painful. The worst part were the sutures right below the vaginal opening. It reminded me of right after SRS when I had the packing in and the sutures were tugging at my skin. For anyone who has had SRS knows what kind of pain that is. It's just terrible. I was in bed for like the next week, trying not to move around too much because I didn't want anything to come loose. However, those sutures right below the opening started to loosen up prematurely, and it opened up a little bit it became very painful. I finally started to feel better after about 10 days, but then it was time to start dilating. So I had to start with the smallest one again, which was generally too easy before. But let me tell you, don't ever miss dilating for that long. Oh my gosh, it was the worst. I spent 2 hours dilating, and over half of that was just trying to get it at the right depth. But it wasn't so much the depth that was causing the problem, but rather the width. I had this burning and itching sensation while the skin was stretching, especially near the opening where the sutures were. It was awful. There was also bleeding because of how it was stretching right below the opening that was opening up, and I did a second dilation that day, and it was a lot better. There was no blood. The width wasn't as big of a problem as the depth was. It was difficult for it to stretch to the correct depth. It was painful. The following day, dilation became even easier. There was still some pain and difficulty, but it was 10 times better than it was the first time after 10 days of not dilating. So I was dilating twice a day after the 6-month mark when I should have been down to once a day. The surgery completely changed the appearance as well. The best way to describe how it looked before was it was almost separated into two different parts. There was the opening and then about an inch of space that was just skin, and then the part with the urethra and the clitoris. It was like in two separate parts encapsulated by the labia. It didn't look bad to me or anything. I mean, what right do I have to complain? But this revision surgery completely fixed the appearance and how it looked. Now it just looks all together, which is amazing. The appearance is much better now. Some people opt for a second surgery, a labiaplasty, to fix the appearance even more, but the surgery I had kind of fixed much of that, so no additional surgery is really needed for me. Regarding dilation, I have a video on dilation if you are interested for the first 6 months at least. Anyway, at the 6-month mark, I was allowed to go down to once a day dilation. However, I was concerned about this because it was very difficult for me to dilate prior to that. The two main reasons were that the muscle about an inch in was very tight, and I had tearing in those areas on the sides, making it very painful. The depth wasn't a problem, it was the width. I was unable to use the largest dilator because it would tear me even more. I had the tearing since month 3, and it was treated several times but just kept getting worse. The best way of describing the tearing is like a mouth ulcer. It is very painful, swollen, and takes a long time to heal. The only difference is that mouth ulcers seem to heal a lot quicker. I got the tearing at month 3, and now it's month 12, and it's still there. Though it has healed up substantially, especially since I am only dilating once a day now, and it's not nearly as painful anymore. There is still some pain and discomfort, but it is very manageable. But due to the tearing and granulation tissue, there is still some discharge I'm having. I'm currently dilating once a day, but am alternating between 2 different types of dilations. One day I will be using the second and third dilators just for the depth. I have managed to maintain my original 5 inches of depth, though I think I've lost maybe a quarter of an inch maybe total because of the revision surgery, not being able to dilate for those 10 days. On alternate days, I work up to the largest dilator and focus on the width to stretch the tight muscle. The muscle is no longer tight, making the dilation a lot easier, as well as allowing the tearing to heal up substantially. Even the largest dilator is not bad now. I can't get it at the correct depth yet, but as things continue to heal, it will get better. A tip I have that I've been using for the width that has helped me with that tight muscle is to rotate the dilator once it's past that tight ring. This really helps stretch out that muscle, which was a very big problem for me. Now I will discuss how things have sexually changed. I have a video dedicated to the sexual function before and during hormones, as well as the first 7 months after surgery for anyone who is interested. Anyway, when everything healed after the revision surgery, when the clitoral hood was closed up a bit, sensitivity increased tremendously. I guess the problem before was that the clitoris was too exposed. It just felt weird and awkward, and I did not like it. However, now that things have healed up and the nerves have reconnected and everything is good, sexually things are a lot better. There is a lot more sensation now. While it can be difficult and tedious, orgasm is possible, and it's definitely better than when I was a male, and most definitely better than the first 6 months after surgery, which was painful and didn't feel pleasant at all. There is still a lot of lubricant that is produced, though it takes some time. It also takes some time to actually have an orgasm, since it can be difficult, especially when your mind wanders to something else. Generally like an hour or more, which is, I don't really have the time, so it's quite rare that I masturbate. I don't even know the frequency. It's hardly ever, which is perfectly fine by me. In the end, I am very pleased with everything now. Not just aesthetically, but everything else. Everything feels right to me now, to finally have both my body and mind synchronized. There is still more healing to go, and things will continue to change until it is fully healed. If there are any more major updates, I'll be sure to make a video in the future about it. Perhaps maybe at the 2-year mark. Who knows? For me, surgery was the only solution to finally be myself and be happy. There was no other way. However, there are many risks and complications that can occur, so be wise, make your own decision, and do plenty of research. And talk with others who had the surgery. It doesn't make you any less of a woman or a man, depending on what direction you are going, by having the surgery or opting out of it. It's your choice, it's your body, so other people have absolutely no say in what you do with it or how you choose to live your life. So, I hope this video was informative. Thanks for watching.